I got really passionate about personal finance, especially for the younger generation, because I didn't want people going through college and then just saying, whoops, I just spent 150 grand that I didn't even know about, or $100,000 that I didn't even know about. I love advertising. Like, I would consider it a hobby. I want to run an ad campaign. I want to think of a creative way to get your message across. One of the largest questions I get is, how much should I spend? If you're just trying to get your feet wet, I usually say 3 to 5% of your annual revenue should be spent on marketing. If you're trying to grow, it should be probably 5 to 7%. And then if you're trying to scale, that's where you start getting into the 7 to 10% of your annual revenue.
Hey, and welcome to the 513 podcast, where we talk about business, leadership, and legacy. This week, I sat down with Nate Amspacher, owner and founder of Upstream Digital Marketing. Nate shares about how he went from working at Ramsey Solutions to starting his own digital marketing agency, who now has 2 locations, one in Nashville, Tennessee, and one here in Lancaster, PA. Here's how that conversation went. Well, Nate, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it. I would love to start by hearing about Upstream, who you guys are and what you guys do. Give the viewers a crash course on what you guys do.
Sure, yeah. So we're Upstream Digital Marketing, primarily focused on advertising. So when you hear digital marketing, you can think SEO and website design and website development and organic social media, and advertising is a piece of that. But we just found really early on that advertising in itself is such a huge space. And so one of our uniquenesses is just really focusing 40 hours a week on running really great ads for our clients. And just really haven't taken the time to focus on some of those other areas of digital marketing, just because ads are such a big thing, and they do a lot for our clients. So
that would be focused on digital ads. Where do you run your ads on? Do you do billboards as well, or what's the variety?
You can get into traditional media sometimes when it makes sense for like a local marketing campaign, for example, and we have partners for that. But yeah, primarily on Meta and Google. So Facebook, Instagram, Google, YouTube. We'll venture into the TikTok verse every now and again for a certain client, or LinkedIn if it's B2B. So we can play around on most of the ad platforms depending on what the client needs, but most of our client spend is on Meta and Google.
And so you have a branch here in Lancaster, or you do work in Lancaster, but then you also started Upstream in Nashville. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So share a little bit about your client base in between the 2 locations.
Well, I was born and raised in Lancaster, grew up here for the first 20-something years of my life, and then felt a call from God to go down to Nashville to work for Dave Ramsey, finance guru, and so was running a lot of the advertising for him at his business. And but before I went down there, I was working at a small agency here in town. I got married super young, and so needed to find a job.
Yeah, typical Lancaster.
Typical Lancaster. Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, I met my wife. We were in middle school when I met her, but then we started dating in high school.
That's cool.
Got married shortly after that.
Wow, high school sweethearts.
High school sweethearts. I think they say like 2% of those end up working out. So I guess we're part of the 2%.
There you go.
But yeah, so that happened really early, which just meant that I needed to jump into my career pretty early. So I was working at a digital marketing agency at 20 years old.
Okay.
And then a few years after that, ended up moving down to Nashville pretty quick.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to Lancaster Bible College here in town. Got my degree in business. And so I was working full-time at this agency and going to college at the same time since we got married our sophomore year, going into our junior year of college. So busy early 20s. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
And so then you moved down there for a job at Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when you were 22, you said?
Yeah, it was when I was 22, 23. I didn't really understand what student loan debt was when I was going through college. I think the first time that I actually realized what student debt was when I got that first bill 6 months after I graduated. And I was like, wait, you actually have to pay for this? No, I knew a little bit more about it than that, but it was really shocking to me.
Yeah.
And I just did not have a really good concept for what personal finance was growing up. And so, yeah, I got really passionate about personal finance, especially for the younger generation, because I didn't want people going through college and then just saying, whoops, I just spent 150 grand that I didn't even know about, or $100,000 I didn't even know about. And now I have to spend the next decade or 2 decades paying this off instead of doing what I actually feel like God's called me to do. And I really felt like Ramsey was doing a great job trying to reach out to the younger generation and just people in general and say, hey, personal finance is a thing and it doesn't have to own you. And so they were hiring for some advertising positions. And so just felt the Lord calling us down to Nashville. We had one son at the time, our oldest. And so the three of us ventured down to Nashville and started my career down there.
Wow. How was that transition going from Lancaster, which is somewhat of a bubble in certain conversations,
Of course.
then going to Nashville? I don't know if you knew people down there or you had to start fresh, or what was that like?
Started from scratch. Yeah, it's completely new. I think getting involved in a church pretty early on was helpful. We moved in December of 2019.
Yeah.
So that was 3 months before COVID. So we're moving down to a new area thinking, oh, we're going to have all this time and space for creating a new community and all of these things. And so the world kind of shut down for a little while after that. It didn't last as long in Nashville as it did in some other areas of the country. And so, we were back in the office at Ramsey in May of 2020.
All right. Yeah.
It was a little bit different. But the transition was great. We just felt like that's where we were supposed to be. And so that made it a lot easier, and working with 1,000 like-minded people that were on mission for something made it a little easier as well. And so, what a wonderful place. Nashville is. Yeah.
And so like with going to Ramsey, that almost seems like that would be part of your community.
Yeah.
Because it is such a large organization and like you said, like-minded people.
Absolutely.
So that probably helped that transition.
Absolutely. Yeah. We had a lot of really good friends that were from the company, and that was our initial thing. But then can't understate the church community and how important that is and was for us. When we first got down there, it was, getting into a small group within 5 months of living down there, and we're still in that small group today,
really?
6 years later.
That's amazing.
It's really important to find those pieces of community and not act like a hermit when you move to different places. So it's been really good.
And how much intentionality did that take for you guys to seek out that community? Because I think it's easy sometimes to go to a new place or expect the community to come to you, to where it does a lot of the times. It takes intentionality and it takes hard work and perseverance to start that community in a new place.
Yeah. I think you just have to go outside of your comfort zone sometimes, and especially in an era like COVID, that was really difficult.
Yeah.
But I think that you just have to jump outside of your comfort zone, go meet some people, shake some hands, touch some grass, not just give up your entire life to the digital realm now, since that's what everybody else is doing. And I think technology has come a really long way. And so I continue to have some of my best friends in my life are here in Lancaster because of things like Marco Polo or other digital apps. And so, I think that if you're intentional about it, you can make as many friends as you want to make and have the community that you want. One of the biggest areas we found was just serving. And so not only just going to a church on Sunday and showing up and leaving as soon as the service is over, but we were really passionate about students, which is, again, one of the reasons for going down to Ramsey. But hey, we're gonna just hang out with the student ministry people, and that's where some of our closest friends are now. Yeah, so
that's really
I think
cool.
Serving, you can find, especially if you go to a really large church or there's hundreds of thousands of people. How can I find 10? We just found that through serving, you just create connections.
Yeah, absolutely. What was that like for you working at Ramsey for that period of time? You were on the marketing advertising team.
That's right.
So what was your day-to-day like? What were you doing while on that team? Because a lot of people watching are very familiar with Ramsey.
Sure.
And so probably intrigued at a little bit of what that looks like.
Yeah, it was just my opportunity. Before that at the agency that I was at in Lancaster, we had clients that had larger budgets, but they weren't anything crazy. But going down to Ramsey, it allowed me to start messing with some serious advertising budgets in the millions of dollar ranges with our whole team. And so it allowed us to test things a lot more quickly and run a campaign on Facebook for hundreds of thousands of dollars and have an entire video production department and an entire creative department that can create any asset that you can possibly imagine, and it looks killer. And then you have a lot of money to spend behind it to generate leads and to generate revenue and to, in my mind, change people's lives. I think that's what we were really trying to do there. Yeah. And I think we were successful at it. So, especially during the time of COVID where money got really tight for people.
Yeah.
I felt really on mission at that company to just, hey, we need to amplify this message right now more than ever, because people are scared. People have anxiety about what the future looks like. And if we can show up with some hope and some personal finance advice, it's the best place to be.
And that time for Ramsey especially was probably very difficult because a lot of what they do is live events.
Right.
And so that's kind of cut off for a little bit. And you probably had to repurpose some money and add that to your digital ad spend.
That's right.
And so probably give you additional kind of on mission of like, all right, we got to cover some of these live events income.
That's right.
And so that probably provided even more opportunity to learn. And
oh my gosh. Yeah, I think probably word of the year of 2020 other than COVID was the word pivot. I feel like every company that I worked with or every team that I worked on, it was just like, how do we pivot?
Yeah.
Before we had $20 million of revenue generated by live events. Well, we can't do that. So how are we going to we call it mine the gap. But how are we going to mine the gap there to figure out how to not just completely tank our business?
Yeah.
Because tanking the business we just can't.
That's
you're not going to have a job.
Yeah.
And so we need to figure this out. Now, again, Tennessee was a little bit different where live events kind of came back a little bit sooner than some of the rest of the country, which was helpful. But yeah, there was plenty of conversations around, hey, how do we change this ad campaign? How do we take that live event and make it a virtual event? How do we make this a webinar? How do we make it a lot less expensive for somebody to join from their home and create community aspects through marketing where people can still get that networking aspect and not have to show up in person. And so, there was just a lot of those conversations.
Yeah,
for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. So then you went from Ramsey and dove into starting Upstream. Did you immediately start Upstream or was there a gap in between those? That transition.
So obviously working at Ramsey, you kind of have this heart for, I want to be debt free, right? And it was we were not debt free when we started in Nashville. And so that was a journey of essentially starting freelance work where nights and weekends I would spend most of my time just helping out clients here and there from connections I knew, and just started a side hustle. I really, and to this day, I love advertising. Like I would consider it a hobby. I wake up, I don't have Sunday scaries. I wake up Monday morning ready to rock. I want to run an ad campaign. I want to think of a creative way to get your message across. And so it was really easy for me to just have a couple of clients on the side and be making some side income, all of that money going towards our debt. So that by the time we left Ramsey, we were 100% debt free.
That's awesome.
Which was a really cool feeling.
Yeah.
And I was on the Entree Leadership team at that time, which was Dave's B2B brand for business owners, teaching them, hey, you can be a business owner, you can do this, and here's the different stages of a business that you are, and here's how you scale and grow. And pretty much every day, I heard that message over and over and over again, to the point where I was like, I want to do that. I think I can do that. And so I had to make a point one day that was, do I want to start saying no to people to help them on the side? Or, do I want to keep doing my thing at Ramsey? And I felt the Lord again call me to, I think you can do this business and help more people. And so that's what we decided to do in May of 2022.
Okay.
2 weeks after my third child was born. So that was crazy. That was
2 weeks after is when you made that leap.
He was born, and right after that, we decided to venture off into the business realm. So I had already had a little bit of the business had already kind of been moving, and the snowball was going down the hill, and so it was a little bit easier than starting from scratch. But man, what a transition!
Yeah, and at that time, were a lot of your clients back here in Lancaster or down in Nashville?
Yeah, all connections, right?
Yeah.
So some here in Lancaster, some in Nashville from connections that I made. To this point, we have clients in Florida and Colorado and Nebraska, and so they're kind of starting to pop up all over the place. That's just how networking and connections work these days. But I would say our two hubs would be the Lancaster area and the Nashville area.
Very cool. Just a quick rundown on how it works in the digital ad space from people that might be watching this and are curious to like, how much does it cost to run ads?
Yeah.
How does that look for you guys? Because I think you do a percentage based off of ad spend.
That's right.
So you want to explain that briefly?
So really it all comes to, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to generate revenue? Are you trying to generate lead volume? Are you just trying to get more brand awareness out there for yourself? Are you trying to be Coca-Cola, where they're not trying to make every ad dollar turn into revenue? They're just making AI Christmas commercials and creating brand awareness, right? At this point, since they're so big. Most of the time it's lead generation. I'm trying to generate leads for my sales team, or I'm an e-commerce brand, so I'm trying to generate direct revenue. And so then we say, okay, great. Who's your target audience and where are they hanging out? Most of the time, they're either, and it depends on what stage of the funnel you're in, but if you are problem unaware, you don't know that you have a problem, or you don't know that there's a solution,
Right.
X company exists. And so that's where we usually hang out on places like Meta to say, hey, you're just scrolling through watching the football game. You're just scrolling through your phone. We need to get in front of you to make you problem aware, because right now you're problem unaware. You don't know that you have a problem that we can help you solve. Or you do, and you're not really in research mode right now. As compared to Google, where you are very problem aware and you are researching. I know that I need a new gazebo for my backyard, but I don't know which company I want to choose. Do I care more about quality? Do I care more about price? Is there a promotion going on? And so that's where they'll turn to something like Google, where they're very much in market to search gazebo for sale, high quality gazebo for sale.
And so a good ad campaign would touch all of those different elements.
That's exactly right.
And so, can you explain the different elements? And back to touch points, I recently heard, so it used to be for the longest time that it was 7 touch points. Has that increased?
Not as much as you'd think. It's still 7 to 10.
Okay.
But
I recently heard 11 is the new touch point, and I was curious if that's official. That was just something I heard, because we are inundated with so much information so often, so it would make sense that it increased. So I don't know if
It just depends on how good the touch point is, right? Like if it's a billboard that you're passing on the highway, you're going to need a higher volume of those than a really compelling emotional advertisement that you see on YouTube, right? Like those are 2 totally different mediums. And the one that you see on YouTube is probably going to count as 3 touch points, because of the power that it has. So nobody knows, right? It's all kind of a guess. But somewhere in the 7, 10, 11, sure. And then it just matters on what platforms, right? Like if they see all of those touch points on the same platform, it's not as meaningful as if I just saw them on Facebook. Okay, I just got a postcard in the mail. That's a touch point. I just heard them on the radio. Now I just Googled them and they showed up right at the very top of the search results page. Okay, that is called a marketing mix. That's way more impactful than just, I'm so frustrated at this company. It's the 18th time I've seen their ad on Facebook today, and they just keep following me around. Those are 2 totally different scenarios for people. But a marketing mix is really important, because at any point, 3 to 5% of people that you're targeting are ready to buy. And I think
3 to 5%.
3 to 5%. And I think one issue that brands have sometimes is that they think that 100% of people are ready to buy their product. And that is the furthest thing from the case. As bluntly as I can say it, nobody cares about you until they want to care about you, or you compel them to, or they have a felt need for that. And at any given point, on any given day, on any given season, about 3 to 5% of them do. And so the question is not, how do we make the ads that we're running reach the other 97% by running bottom of funnel advertising? We sell high quality gazebos. Okay, well, that's going to work for 3 to 5% of people that are in market for a gazebo. The rest of your ad campaigns, through video, through static creative, through other creative strategy, is how do I bring across this emotion that somebody wants to make their neighbors jealous? Or I'm having this big celebration in my backyard later this year. I want to make sure that people enjoy the space. So your pain point that you're trying to get to them is, hey, did you know that you can actually have a really beautiful backyard? And one of the big staple pieces for that is this super high quality gazebo that'll last 50 years and you'll never have to think about it. Okay, well, that's the creative that we need to go to at the top. Not, hey, we sell gazebos. You want one? Massive sale, massive sale, massive sale. That's 3% of people that are looking for that.
So market research is huge for any ad campaign to find out who your ideal customer is, what they're searching, what they're intrigued by, what their income bracket is, like all of that. How do you guys kind of go into that and research for your clients to figure out what your ad campaign should look like?
It's one of the main reasons we call ourselves Upstream. I read this book by Dan Heath called Upstream, and it has a really cool story in it where These two guys, they go into the river each morning to just, swim. And every day down the river comes a bunch of trash. And every day they have to go grab a trash bag and they have to clean up all the trash that's coming out. And they just keep doing this over and over and over again until finally one day, the one boy walks up the river and the other guy's like, "Hey, where are you going? I thought we were going to swim." And the guy's like, "I'm going to go figure out why this guy keeps throwing trash in the river upstream." And really the point of the story is until you make the hard choice to either swim upstream or go upstream and actually figure out, who am I trying to target here? What is the message that we're like, what creative strategy do we have to actually get them to stop their scroll? A lot of people are just like, I have X widget. Let's just make an ad that says we sell X widget and launch. That's downstream thinking. It's not upstream thinking. Upstream thinking is, what's the target audience? What pain point are they experiencing? And what ad creative can we put in front of them that hits that pain point and solves their problem? And makes it more about them. And so that was really, when you think of why we called our company what we did. And this was before all of the algorithm changes led us in that direction anyway. And we could talk about that. But
that's cool. Well, now I'm curious of what the boy found when he went upstream. Do you remember?
Some dum-dum that was throwing trash in the river. I think that's how the story ended. But it's just why are we throwing things in the river?
Right.
Why are we doing this?
And take that effort to go upstream and figure out what the actual reason is and figure out what your, like you said, what your
exactly right.
clients, customers or ideal customers, what they need.
So then when you go downstream, you go a lot faster. And you're a lot more successful because one of the biggest things I learned at Ramsey was customer research. Hey, call these people. Ask them questions. Do you like this webpage that you're looking at right now? Does it make sense to you? When you look at this ad, how does it make you feel? Does it actually get across what we're trying to get across? Do you actually have a pain point about this thing that we're trying to promote? No, I don't have a pain point at all. Okay, we're making the wrong product. So it's product research and market research. And that is where we as advertisers need to be spending most of our time. Coming up, it's sitting in a dark room and just shutting our eyes and thinking and using things like AI to help us with this process instead of just getting in a room and going straight to, okay, so blue and red and image and make it bigger and make it pop and really clickbaity headline.
Right.
Doesn't work anymore.
Is that actually going to communicate to your ideal customer? Right.
Because you haven't done that forethought process.
So a lot of businesses around here especially are still in the word of mouth phase. To where they have done really well via word of mouth, and maybe they're like, all right, now in this digital age, it might be time to start advertising. What would you recommend for those businesses to start with, to investigate first, and why should they start advertising if word of mouth has been working for so long?
If word of mouth isn't working for you, that means that you have a product problem or a customer service problem. And so I always love working with brands where they're like, we're an XYZ $1 million company and we've never run an ad. Awesome. That makes my job easier because it means you're doing something right. It means that people love you so much or your product so much or your service so much that they're willing to tell people about it. That's an advertiser's dream because I don't have to do as much to convince people then or mislead them. It's like, no, I'm just trying to amplify what you're already doing really well. But if you're trying to get into scale mode, one of the largest questions I get is, how much should I spend? I don't know. I've never made a marketing budget before. How much should I spend on advertising?
Right.
To give it ballpark numbers, if you're just trying to get your feet wet, I usually say 3 to 5% of your annual revenue should be spent on marketing. If you're trying to grow, it should be probably 5 to 7% of your annual revenue. And then if you're trying to scale, like you're trying to do some crazy numbers of growth because you have a new product that you're trying to get out into the marketplace, or if you're a college and you have a new program or whatever it will be, that's where you start getting into the 7 to 10% of your annual revenue. So if you're in a $1 million brand, you should be spending tens of thousands of dollars on marketing if you really want to get the word out there.
So just repeat that. So it's 3 to 5% just on your base level. Like you shouldn't be spending any less than that. It should be 3 to 5% of your annual revenue.
That's right.
And then to be in the growth mode, you should be at 5 to 7 approximately.
That's right.
And then if you're launching, startup, or really wanting to take off, there should be like 7 to 10.
7 to 10%.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And what is marketing considered?
Right.
Is that just ad spend? Is that include the salaries of the marketing people?
Yeah.
Does that include all of our agencies that we're hiring?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I don't know. That's up to you to decide.
Right.
And how much you really want to put towards it. But I think that gives people a really good ball. What I think is happening a lot is there are really large brands in the 7, 8, 9 figures that think, okay, I want to grow this thing. Well, it's already large if it's 7, 8, or 9 figures. Yeah. I want to grow this thing and I really want to make a dent. How does $2,000 a month sound?
Right.
It's like,
you're
not going to do a whole lot, with that. And that makes me sound bad because it makes me sound greedy of like, no, I just want more money. No, like if you want to make a splash and you're already a $10 million brand, you're going to need to make a splash.
Right.
And that's just going to cost a little bit of money. But it all comes back to, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? How many leads do you think that your sales team needs, right? So we actually do a lot of business math. I think there's a statistic out there that says the most likely C-suite position to become the CEO is the CMO.
Okay.
The reason for that is because they have to understand from impression, first seeing the ad, the whole way through fulfillment. Because most of my conversations with business owners are, well, what do you want your revenue to be?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what's your close rate with your sales team? Oh, it's 20%. Okay. So if it's 20%, you need this to be your revenue. What's the, let's just say it's a college. What's your revenue per student? Okay, great. So what's your accept to enroll rate?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is your request for information, or what's your app to accept rate? What's your RFI or request for information to app rate? What is your website conversion rate? What is your click-through rate? And all of those rates that you figure out you essentially become a puppet master as the CMO and say, I want to, 1, create a dashboard that shows me those rates the whole way through. And 2, I want to see which ones have a leaky hole because that's the one that I'm going to focus on. Because a lot of times in advertising, you think it's the ad that's the problem, when in reality, your website conversion rate is 0.2%.
Yeah.
So we're driving a lot of traffic to the site, but nobody's converting on it. Or vice versa. Your website conversion rate is 20%, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But your click-through rate is 0.1.
Right.
And so nobody's engaging with your ads.
Yeah.
So you have to know what those numbers are the whole way down the funnel. So we start from revenue and work our way up to, so what does that mean? So how many leads do you need? What does that cost need to be?
Yep.
And usually that conversation goes over better than, you should spend 10% of your revenue.
Right.
Just willy-nilly.
Right.
Yeah.
To have a very clear reason. How do you work, like, if a business, do you help businesses get those numbers nailed down? Because not every business knows all of those numbers. What does that look like?
Yeah, to the best of our ability. So a lot of the businesses that we work with, the first step that we would have is, do you have a CRM system? Is there a way that you can actually track once they submit the form on your website? Can you track that the whole way down to something like revenue? If you can't do that, it's the first place to start. We have 8 and 9 figure brands that do not have CRMs, and that's a problem. And so that's usually the first place that we'll start. Once we have the CRM, that makes it a lot easier for us to say, hey, first, let's integrate it with all of these advertising platforms.
Yeah.
Let's integrate it with Facebook. Let's integrate it with Google, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, so that we can see things like, you're spending $40 per lead.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're making $300 per customer. It's a great, what we call ROAS, return on ad spend, or ROI, or whatever you want to call it. If you can't figure out that business math, you will never be incentivized to spend a lot of money on advertising.
Yep.
If it is just what I call a spray and pray mentality, where it's like, we're just going to run a bunch of ads out there and we'll just see. There is something to be said of like, did revenue increase a little bit?
But also, if you're going to do spray and pray, you have to be watching the analytics.
Have to be.
You have to be seen, because I think it's easy to get in that trap of spray and pray, and you're like, oh, we'll see what works best, and then you actually never look it over, and you're like, now 3 months, 6 months in, you still don't know which ad actually performed the best, because those systems aren't in place on the back end. Because you don't know where these leads are coming in, and so that goes back to your CRM. And so I would love to touch on that, because there's probably businesses that are watching that don't even necessarily know what a quality CRM looks like. What have you seen? Like, do you have any companies that you recommend for CRMs or platforms?
Yeah, not sponsored.
Yeah,
They don't pay me any money for this. So there's a bunch, right? So there's industry level CRMs. So if you're a roofer, and there are roofing CRMs out there, and sometimes that's really nice, because understands the roofing industry and it understands how roofers invoice and how they do fulfillment of work and how they treat customers across the journey. Fantastic. The problem with those industry CRMs is they don't usually integrate well because they're smaller with a bunch of other things. QuickBooks, ad platforms, so on and so forth. I like HubSpot.
Okay.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Salesforce is nice if you're massive and you have somebody that can dedicate their time, like part-time job, to being a Salesforce administrator. We use Salesforce at Ramsey, and we had a bunch of full-time people. And I would go in there and I would say, man, I'm glad I do advertising.
Yeah.
This thing is confusing. So I think HubSpot is super intuitive.
And that's one that can scale with a business.
Scales with
you can do it as a smaller company.
I have HubSpot as a CRM.
Okay.
And I have, maybe a handful of leads come in. And so when that, I can grow as that, if we were to ever turn on our advertising engine and we were to get dozens and dozens and dozens of leads coming into the business, it would easily be able to scale with the level of context. It does email really well. It does marketing automation really well. Selfishly, I love it because it integrates perfectly natively with Facebook, with Google, with YouTube. So you can see
on the ad side, it's very...
This person came in from this ad creative. Their name is Tracy Jones. She lives at this address. And here's all of the notes from when she came in as a lead, all of the touch points that happened to sale. So then I can go to the client at the end of the month and say, hey, you spent $100,000 in ads. You made $1.5 million. Do you want to do it again?
Right.
And they say, yes, please.
Yeah.
But without that, it is a lot of did your revenue
You might
go
see
up?
the leads come in, but you don't know for sure if it's even converting to anything because it's not tracked well.
Right. And we talked, how we talked about earlier, different levels of the funnel.
Yeah.
To be honest, a Facebook lead should be slightly less qualified than somebody coming in from Google.
Yeah.
And we have to watch that really closely. If you were getting an $100 lead on Facebook and a $100 lead on Google, are they the same? Maybe. But that's why the CRM is really important, because we need to watch them go through that funnel and say, actually, that person filled out that form at 8 p.m. when they were watching the Sunday Night Football, and they were just scrolling through Facebook. And then you call them the next day, and they're like, what form?
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I was just watching the game.
But on Google, they typed in home repair companies near me. Okay, well, they're a lot higher of a quality person that's a lot more urgent to work with you. So we see all the time that we'll get a $50 lead on Facebook and a $150 lead on Google. But when you go the whole way to the end and you look at revenue, because we have a CRM system, our return is actually much higher on Google, even though it costs more. So it's really important to not only understand the advertising metrics on the front end, click-through rate, conversion rate on your website, all of that, but man, working with your sales teams, if you have a marketing team and a sales team and they're not talking to each other, huge red flag.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that we had to implement at Ramsey when I was there. We've got 15 marketers that are trying to drive leads, and then the sales team's trying to close them. But if we're not talking, we had to create a standing meeting once a week where it's how are the leads? Hey, ever since y'all turned on that YouTube campaign, all the leads are trash. It's just spam and bots and everything, and it's really wasting our time. Okay, great. Awesome. We'll go make some changes.
Because even without that conversation, the marketing team might be like, oh, we're getting all these leads coming through.
They're $10 a lead.
They're trash leads. They're not converting to anything. And so I think that's huge as well. As a company grows and starts adding these divisions, sales, marketing, and they start to invest more in advertising and marketing, those people need to interact and communicate.
And I think that's why you see positions popping up like chief growth officer or chief revenue officer, because they realize that sales and marketing are so intertwined with one another, and that the right hand needs to know what the left hand's doing. And it gets way more complex when you separate those two and silo them off. I think as we look into the future, you're going to see a lot more chief growth officer, more than you will see a CMO or a chief sales.
So a chief growth officer would be somebody that would come in and kind of mix the two divisions or teams together and make sure they're communicating well.
You probably have a chief growth, and then you have a marketing director and a sales director. But those three people are running from who's going to see the ad and until money comes in the door. That is their oversight. And I think it's vital. Because the sales team is anyway, there's a lot that goes in between those two, and both of those teams can help each other out, but they don't talk to each other when they're siloed off.
Yes.
And that's with AI and how these ad platforms are trying to automate the process of making it easier for business owners to activate on advertising. Google is trying to make it easier for somebody that doesn't know anything about advertising to go in and set up a campaign and run a Google ad. What we're finding is they're just turning on all of their AI, and the AI is not there yet to be able to run full-scale campaigns for them, which is where a lot of the bad leads come from. So Google's like, hey, we've got this new product. It's called a PMax campaign, stands for Performance Max. If you watch Google's event from May, it's all they talk about. Yeah, everybody should be running PMax or PMax Ultra or PMax Ultra Pro Plus, which is essentially give us everything and we're going to go figure it all out. Yeah, is what Google is saying. Those leads have been trash for all of our clients since we've run them. Because it's AI trying to go and scrape the edges of the internet to try to find the cheapest lead, and it does, and it's usually very low quality.
Interesting.
And then when we go into HubSpot and we look at that campaign and see how it's doing,
it might be bringing in the leads, but they're not going anywhere. They're not converting.
The only place we've seen it do well for anybody that's interested in PMax campaigns is revenue, like direct revenue, e-commerce. Yeah. Or offline data, meaning you're taking HubSpot data, you're exporting that back into the system, and that's what Google is using to learn to go find new people. Yeah. But it's legitimate, like this person was sold one revenue. That's what Google is using to go find more people. That was super nerdy. Those do well because Google is learning off of, that's a real human that spent $10,000 with me, not some bot lead that it's learning off of, for example.
Can you explain bot leads or bots in general? What does that even mean?
Yeah, I mean, I rarely even use Google as my own search engine anymore. I use a browser called Perplexity, which is an AI browser, and I can go on that browser and tell it to do things for me. It's called an agent, these days. And so I say, hey, agent, go book this flight for me for a flight that I have back here to Lancaster in January, and it kind of gets through Southwest stuff. It logs in and finds me flights. That's technically whatever you want to call it, but it's a bot. But yeah, there's bad actors all over the world that are just creating spam. It's been happening for a very, very long time.
So a bot would be like a modern digital spam. Yeah. It's like somebody's going in, filling out a form. Yep. Like, is somebody actually doing that, or what does that look like? It's
just bad actors that are just filling out forms, trying to make it. They're just trying to ruin your day. Yeah. Or there are legitimate companies in maybe other countries that are offering you free SEO services or whatever it is, and it's everybody but we've seen a massive increase in spam leads. Yeah. And they're getting really good at it with AI, because they'll have some of this data going through an AI and say, hey, make it look like it's real. So it will say like John Smith at John looking email address looks cool, and 717 phone number in the field, and you're like, oh my gosh, John Smith. Right. Spam. Yep. So reCAPTCHA is usually really helpful for things like that. Okay. And then marketing automation. So when somebody submits your form, if you want your end state to be them scheduling an appointment or consultation with you, have them do that next step there automatically. Yeah. Don't feel like you have to get person to person right away. Hey, thanks for submitting the form. Here's the calendar of all of our open availability. Yep. Feel like bots aren't at that level yet where they're going through and actually fulfilling the appointment. Yeah. So whatever your call to action is, feel free to move that up into your web experience so that it's a little bit easier to get past some of that. Right now, people are like first name, email, phone, submit. They make it so easy. No reCAPTCHA, no honeypot, no anything.
Can you explain reCAPTCHA and honeypot?
Essentially, they're just ways online of you've probably done it before where it says click all of the sidewalks. Yeah. It's just like, I want to make sure you're a human. Yep. Or what's 5 + 3? Yeah. And bots are not going to either be able to answer the question or they're going to get it wrong. Right. And so it's just a quick, are you human? Are you real? And so they can use things on your internet browser that prove that you're real. They can also use things like questions or like click all the dogs in the picture. Yep. Those are helpful. They obviously cause friction in conversion. And so when you implement something like that goes back to our data, right? Make sure you have that dashboard set up to look at things like conversion rate. If conversion rate drops 40%, make sure that 40% drop was all the spam. Yeah. But if it wasn't, and you've now created friction with your customer, that could cost you tens of thousands of dollars in revenue. So make sure it's working. Right. And that it's not a pain. We've had a client where the reCAPTCHA was accidentally showing underneath of the submit button, but it was hidden.
Oh, interesting.
And so nobody can submit the form.
Oh, no.
They added
So everybody's trying to click submit.
Everybody's click and submit, and they're like, I
working.
can't do anything. And it's, well, there was a recaptcha that they added. They just didn't show the form piece of that. So, yeah, they lost 2 days of revenue.
Yikes.
Because of that. So
all right.
you got to watch out for that. But it's important because, again, with AI, there's so much spam coming in, and it's destroying sales team morale, where they come in over the weekend and they're like, oh my gosh, we got 50 leads.
And then they're all
and 47 of them are not good.
Right.
And they're just making it harder to be able to parse. It used to be, it looks like somebody just slammed their hand on the keyboard and it was JHFQ, and you're like, spam.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot harder these days. And so things like recaptcha can definitely help with that.
Very cool. Let's talk about AI a little bit. In this modern day, in advertising and video creation, content creation, AI can definitely be a tool in a lot of regards, but can also be take away personality. What are some ways that you've seen AI done in a good way in the marketing space, or just in general? What are some tools that you use, or some things where you've been turned off in certain regards?
Very pro AI. I think it helps with a lot of things. I've seen some things popping up in the space recently that I'm not a huge fan of, which we'll talk about. So I'm a very analytical thinker. So I think, and you probably can tell that from our conversation, I'm very numbers driven, very analytical. Data has to make sense.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Were you that way before going to Ramsey, or did that instill even more?
No, just my personality.
Cool.
Tons of creative thinkers at Ramsey, and they're usually in the design department or the video space, which is great. You need every bit of that. And so figuring out with your team, is that a creative person or is that an analytical thing? Is a very important thing. And so what has been really difficult for me in the marketing space is to just sit down when I have time and be like, okay, I need to have a creative concept. Like, what's a cool way to make this roofer sound awesome on Facebook, right? And so you would sometimes just sit there for hours just thinking about like, okay, well, we could have him go up on the roof. We could just have him talk to the camera and say, I'm a roofer. But now that you have things like AI, you can go on there and you can use it as a really good brainstorming tool, not to write your entire campaign for you, but to say, hey, I need 10 ideas of how to make a good, as a meta expert or as a Facebook ads expert, I need 10 really good ideas on how to stand out from everybody else in the roofing industry. And that's what we've been using a lot for our brainstorming, back to pain points and target audience, those sorts of things, upstream thinking. We've created a business context file for each of our clients, because in most of these AIs now you can use things called projects. So in Claude, which is what we use, you can have a project for each client. If you're just a brand and you're listening to this, you can have a project for each one of your verticals or each one of your products, each one of your brands underneath your whole brand.
You're in departments. And
so for each of our clients, we have a 42-page business context file that goes into brand language, say this, don't say this. We have a playset client where they don't like to use the word playset because it's more B2B. They like to use the word playground. And so we just go into that document that's 40-something pages, and right in the middle of it, we say, never use the word playset. So then all the ideas that come out to us, all of our copy headlines, all of that, you'll never see the word playset in anything. And so we have this 40-page document that sits at the project level. And then me and AI will sit down and go to town brainstorming different concepts, different copies, different angles. Facebook really likes when you do different angles of something. Okay, yes, here's this widget, but here's a different way to look at this widget. Not visually, but like from a copy perspective. And usually those come from different pain points. So you care about quality, you care about price, you care about customer service, you care about how it's going to make you feel emotionally. Well, all of those are different creative concepts that we have to hit inside of the campaign. And so that's where I've seen AI do really well. AI is getting really great at copy. If you're wanting to get better at marketing copy and marketing messaging, use Claude. Claude is definitely, which is Anthropic, Amazon. They are definitely leading the charge in the enterprise messaging copy space right now. And so that would be my recommendation there. If you want a hot take on AI, I'll give you the hot take. I haven't talked about this publicly yet. I think ChatGPT is in huge trouble going into next year. They were definitely the leader of the pack. And they haven't figured out a way to make money. They are really good at taking money from investors and building out all of this stuff.
Yep.
But you know who has figured out making money? Google.
Okay.
And so the disparity has been Google was behind in the AI race for the last couple of years, and they've been trying to play catch up with Gemini. And so that was ChatGPT's advantage. They knew that Google was way behind their models. And so ChatGPT was like, okay, we're not making a ton of money right now because we're just giving this out for free or for $20 a month. Google's caught up. So Google just released Gemini 3 last week, and it is far superior to ChatGPT's model.
Okay.
But Google has figured out the ad space. And so 90-something% of Google's revenue has come from ads. And so all Google has to do is say, great, we're just going to start adding ads, which nobody's going to care about to Gemini. Yeah. And we can allow this to be a product for free. I was just talking to somebody last night. Hey, if you're a consumer and you have Gemini, which is a better model, and we'll give that to you for free, as long as you're cool with, like, remember Google, that tool that everybody used to use? Yeah. As long as you're cool with the ads kind of showing up every now and again. Yeah. Or you pay me $20 a month, which is more than you pay for Netflix, it's more than you pay for Spotify. Like, you got to pay me $20 a month, and then I'll give you one that doesn't have ads. Which one are you going to choose? Yeah. Okay, well, you're probably choosing Gemini. Yeah. And so Google wins. And so then they win the consumer race. Well, what Claude has done, which has been really impressive, is they've gone the enterprise route, right? And so they've gone big business, big data. Okay. And so they're going that route. So I think they're fine. But then you've got this, like, ChatGPT has tried to be a consumer-focused one. They've alienated a lot of small businesses because they're using, they're trying to become these app developers. They're trying to create these programs where you can go into ChatGPT and be like, make me a game that does this quick thing, or make me a tool calculator that calculates this. Well, they're putting a bunch of small businesses out of business by replicating that data that those small businesses just use ChatGPT to come up with those ideas, and now they're using that data to essentially make them go out of business, so people don't trust ChatGPT anymore. Yeah. And they're moving over to people like Claude. Sorry, I'm talking so fast. I get passionate.
No, that's great. I love it.
And so, yeah, I think that you're going to see this really interesting thing over the next year or so of, Google just caught up. Yeah. And not only does Google have a competitor to ChatGPT, which is just the chat feature, Google now just released through DeepMind VO3, which is their video editor, which I'm sure you've messed around with. And so it's like, okay, so not only do they have chat, but now you can make any video that you could possibly imagine. Oh, and then they just reached Nano Banana, and Nano Banana is the image generator of all time. Okay. We're using Nano Banana. We have a Shed client, and they had two options. We said they wanted to run a Christmas Black Friday campaign. And so we were like, okay, well, we want to take your sheds and we want to put Christmas stuff on them. So we want to put some Christmas lights up. We want to put some trees that have some lights on them, some wreaths and everything, and maybe a little bit of dusting of snow around the yard. Well, that would be, you would know this better than me. Yeah. $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to, now I'm making AI sound like a competitor to you. Yeah. But they wanted to Christmasify it. And so you go into Nano Banana, which is Google's new image generator, and you say, hey, Christmasify the shed. Yeah. And it comes out, and there's beautiful string of lights around the shed. It's got beautiful wreaths that have red bows on them and a little dusting of snow. You put some overlay text on top of that. Hey, Black Friday sale, get a shed for Christmas. Boom, here's your campaign. Yep. And so I think that even just their image. Okay, so now you've got a phenomenal video generator. You've got a phenomenal image generator. You've got ChatGPT as chat, and then you've got Google as a whole with 20,000 employees that are focused on this. Yep. And then ChatGPT, you have chat, and you've got Sora. Yeah. And that's it. Right. And so I think that, you're just going to see ChatGPT doesn't really have a place to go. The only thing that they have at their advantage is a better model. Okay. And right now they don't have the best model. Yeah. I would actually say that Grok is above them. Okay. In terms of
they're kind of going down on the model quality.
Yes, they were the first one to the punch. Yep. So they probably for the next couple of years they will have that. Right. Of like they are the household name of AI, and so they will have that. Everything I'm saying right now could be totally false. Right.
Because they could come out with something that is next level and kind of blows everybody else out of the water. Yeah. But they just haven't done that yet.
Correct. They're just very nervous of Google right now.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, think about I'm sorry, really quickly.
No, you're good.
With Gemini. Yeah. Think of all the other Google products you have. Gmail.
Oh, absolutely.
Calendar.
And it would integrate so well with everything else that you're utilizing.
Their home devices, their hubs, their nests. Like they already have this entire hardware ecosystem built out. Yeah. And their phones. We're just going to And Apple is about to sign a deal with them
Really?
for Gemini to be the new Siri.
Oh, dang.
And so if that happens, boom, it's
Yeah.
like Gemini's the thing. So yeah.
Wow. What are your thoughts on authenticity and AI taking away authenticity?
Totally. That was exactly what I wanted to get into with what are some things I'm seeing in this space right now that I'm not a huge fan of. I actually was a huge fan of it, and then my team slapped my hand and said, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So shout out my team. So for example, when it comes to advertising, one of the best forms of ads that we see is influencer advertising or brand advertising, where you're using a personality to hold up your podcast mug and say, hey, this is the best mug that I've ever had.
Shout out Bavanda.
Shout out Bavanda. This is the best thermal. It is so hot. Anyway, people love that stuff, right? By the way, this drink is still hot. And
Yes.
so
They
not
are
sponsored,
amazing.
but
Not sponsored, but fantastic.
they're awesome. But yeah, so okay, now what if we could have AI recreate a human
Yeah.
does the exact same thing where it says, hey, this is the best mug that I've ever had.
Yeah.
Where's the ethics of that, and where's the authenticity? What are people craving there? And I was originally like, man, that's going to save me a lot of money. I don't have to go buy and frankly deal with a lot of these influencers where, okay, well, I've got 40 different influencers. Okay, well, based on my target audience, I need a 40-year-old female that can speak this way and has this audience, and that's a couple $1,000s.
Right.
Now I can just go to this AI tool for practically free and just say, hey, say this.
Yep.
And it looks real, seems authentic, but it's not.
Right.
And so that's where, my team even gave me some pushback to say, hey, we're jumping down a dangerous slope right now of we're providing inauthentic creative for our brands. Do we really want to do that?
Right.
And so we've essentially come to the conclusion that we're not going to use AI to show people's faces. Yeah. Right. So if you want to do a photo of just this and my beautiful hands, whatever. Yep. But if you're going to have somebody that is the likeness of a person that is saying something like, I endorse or I recommend or I think you should use X product or service, that's where we're getting into. And I think that there's a lot of disagreement about that in the space right now.
Absolutely.
I think what you're seeing right now on social media is people are seeing it. They're noticing it and they're getting real tired of it real fast. Right. If you scroll through Instagram or TikTok right now, like you can
every video. Yeah.
And you're like, I kind of believe that for a second. Right. And you just manipulated me to thinking that was real. Right. And some of these videos that you see are like real sad. You know, like some of them are funny. But some of them are like, oh, you just totally, and then you just walk away with like a bad taste of AI in your mouth. Right. I think that there will be a revolt of that.
Now, they're talking about adding regulations or watermarks or anytime AI is utilized in a video or photo or something to have a label. No. I don't think that's in place. It's not in place right now. Do you think that is something that's going to be put in place, and will that be beneficial, or what are your thoughts on that end?
Yeah. Well, with Gemini 3's release, you can now upload an image into Gemini and ask it if it's AI. So everything that Gemini puts out, it has something on the back end of the image in the code that's like, hey, I'm AI. Okay. And so I think things like that are really good. Yep. If you want my really nerdy opinion about this is where the blockchain and all of that ecosphere is going to start playing a role where you actually have to get authenticated in some sort of, I don't even know enough about it, so I don't even want to talk about it. But there's going to be this really big divide between reality and not reality, and there has to be a way for us to determine, is that real or is that fake? Because right now we're talking about products and marketing, but there's a very dangerous side to this. Absolutely. That if you don't regulate that or you don't figure out ways to say, hey, this right here is AI generated, that can get pretty dangerous.
Can go downhill pretty quickly.
Yeah, because then everybody's just not going to believe anything that they see anymore, and that's how. Yes, that's not
a good avenue to go. Right.
That's not good. Yeah. So I think you have to. I don't know. I'm not the dude you want in those rooms trying to figure out how to make that happen. But because social media platforms are definitely doing.
Also, I think there is. We'll see how it goes. We'll see where AI takes it with video content and photos and all that. But I think there will always be a desire and a need and a desire for authentic content. Yeah. Like you even see the difference, like Coca-Cola and Apple. Apple, with their new glass icon, was all done with real effects. That's like they did it in a studio. They used different shades of glass. It's really cool. If you want to go check out the behind the scenes of it, It's awesome. But then Coca-Cola is doing all this AI content, AI commercials.
Right.
And so it's a very different, and you're seeing a little bit of backlash on the Coca-Cola side and a lot of praise on the Apple side
Right.
of them pursuing authentic content.
That's right.
And I mean, I'm in this world, so I'm like, all right, I love authentic content, but I see a huge aspect of AI where like there's a lot of benefits that can come from it,
Yep.
but it can also become very inauthentic very quickly.
That's right.
And so how to just balance that, I think is just going to be a learning curve for all of us to figure out which direction we want to go with.
And that's why you can't always just follow revenue because, you know, as much as you hated what Coca-Cola did, if it was a lot cheaper for them to do than to do what Apple did with the different shades of the if it was cheaper and it made the same amount of revenue as if they did go and hire a bunch of Coca-Cola trucks and they made it fake snow and they had polar bears that they trained to, I don't know, hold Coke.
Yeah.
If it made the same amount of revenue, what's going to be hard is, especially for public companies, our North Star is revenue.
Right.
And specifically profit for our shareholders.
Right.
And so if we can save a couple $1 million by quickly prompting an AI to make a video that we're going to play for the Super Bowl, what tells me that we shouldn't do that?
Right.
And so that's
unless there is backlash from the community or for the public. And so that's kind of where are we going to go as
and we are right in the pot of it right now.
Yeah,
figuring
absolutely.
that out.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a space that we're going to be playing. I mean, this is just like the invention of technology or the computer a couple decades ago. This is that thing for us.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we going to do with AI?
Because then we're going into the whole world of like, not influencer, but creator products, like Feastables or
That's right.
candy. Like everybody's making candy, and a lot of people are turning to those because they know the people that created it. They know the people that are running it. And so then they feel more authentic connection
That's right.
to those brands than now the old school larger companies.
That's exactly right.
So it's very interesting, and we'll just see.
And it's all marketing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
It's a different style of marketing and how they created their brands, but it's just very fascinating.
Yeah, it's you know, we're walking through the grocery store the other day and my son he was looking at, I think it was Tide Pods, and he pulls it off the shelf and he throws it in the cart. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, first of all, we're getting groceries. We're not getting Tide Pods. And he's like, Dad, these are the best ways to wash your clothes. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, where are you getting?
Yeah.
I saw a video on YouTube yesterday, and it said that these were the best. And I'm like, oh man,
That's amazing.
you got hit by an ad, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's a whole nother thing of like, am I gonna be the guy in 30 years that they look back on, like the cigarette marketing people from the 70s? And is that gonna be me in 30 years where they're gonna be like, oh, you were running ads? Interesting, you're one of those people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally got him. And it's like, that's just marketing.
Yeah.
That's just marketing.
Quick side tangent. I think I saw a video of you had your son go into a grocery store or a restaurant and order food.
Yeah.
How old was he and how'd that go? Because I love that idea of providing that responsibility and that kind of personal freedom. You explain.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, once a month we try to have our oldest, or at the moment, and when they get to a certain age, it's kind of weird to do when they're 2.
Right.
But we call it a responsibility challenge.
Yeah.
And I think it's from the book Anxious Generation. But I just don't want my son to grow up and just only being able to do well in life if it's digital.
Yeah.
Like, I live in the digital world, obviously. And so I don't want that. Like, I want him to be able to look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, and say, hey, here's my name. I think one thing that I work a lot in student ministry, and one thing that I notice is people won't look you in the eye anymore. Yep. They'll just be like, hey, yeah, my name's Nate. How are you? And it's like super awkward, you know, and it's just like, oh, okay. So what I'm trying to do is say, hey, one, it's for me, because I want to, as a parent, be able to not be a helicopter parent and just say, hey, you can go we have Culver's down in Nashville. It's just McDonald's, but way better. I want to be able to trust that I can say, hey, bud, you're 6 years old. You can go in there. Here's the money. You go in. Here's what you say. Look at them in the eye. Say please and thank you, and do your thing. And it went really well.
That's cool.
So you kind of sent him in. I was freaking out the entire time sitting in the car. And so it was good for me to have that experience, but it was also good for him to have that experience where he was thrown a curveball and they said, do you want ketchup? And we didn't rehearse that. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then they gave him a drink cup And he's like, what do I do with this? And so it was just kind of the like, you got to figure it out, son. Like, not everything's going to be told to you. Not everything's going to be, put on a silver platter for you. Like, there are going to be problems that you have to solve. Yeah. And so he asked the lady to come with him to the soda machine he ended up getting root beer, which was not on the list of drinks that I was cool with, but we'll go with it. I was happy with it. And so then she helped him get some root beer, and then he came out with the bags and everything. And it was a great experience for us to just say, hey, we're going to be doing stuff like this with you. And so sometimes it's going to be going into a restaurant. Sometimes it's going to be going up to a person you don't know at a party, and I'm going to say, hey, go shake their hand and tell them that your name is X. Yep. I think it's just so important for our kids to be doing that kind of stuff.
And I think even now in a generation of AI, where we lean on AI for so many different things. I saw this video of like this interview with somebody was interviewing for a job, and they were like, in a world of AI where we rely everything, you're asking what I should ask during my interview. And so the one person is asking that, and the other is like, how do I answer this question? Yeah. And it's like this idea of like, we're constantly relying, and it's only, honestly, it's going to get even worse with whether Neuralink becomes a thing or Meta glasses, or there's so many different avenues where we'll be able to instantly ask for AI intervention and ask for these questions. That's going to make us personally a lot more anxious. I'm very intrigued by that book. You said Anxious Generation.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a great book because, technology, I think our parents were probably the guinea pigs when it comes to technology. Yep. And when should you give your kid a phone? I mean, my son's 7, and a couple kids in his class already have cell phones, and they're starting to deal with this whole dynamic of like, and parents just don't know, and so they're handing their kid an iPhone that doesn't have any protections on it whatsoever. And now my son's coming home saying, hey, I want an iPhone. Yeah. And I said, not a chance. Yeah. But it's like, okay, well, based on the space that I work in, you're not getting social media, I can tell you that, until 16, 17, 18. I think that there's a statistic that's out there. I should go find it so that it doesn't sound like I'm lying. That says, if you give your daughter, so I have a almost 5-year-old daughter, if you give your daughter social media before the age of 16, her chance of committing suicide goes up by like 3x.
Sheesh.
And you hear stuff like that, and you're like, okay, well, I had social media, I didn't have those protections. And so I was right when Facebook came out, and you had to be 13. I think I was like 11 and a half. Yeah. So I'm still sure my Facebook profile says that I'm a couple years older than I actually am. But it's real. Like, the science is coming out that's saying this is causing some problems. Yeah. And it's causing anxiety for sure.
Social anxiety, comparison, because you're constantly comparing to the best of people's lives. Like, because people don't typically post their negative side of their life. It's always the positive. Yep. So then you're comparing to the perfect aspect of this person's life. Then you're seeing your own life, and you're like, my life isn't that way. I'm having these troubles. I'm having these struggles. I must be worse. I must be less than.
That's right.
And so, kind of pulling away from that and figuring out ways that we can instill confidence, instill self-belief in our kids.
So time that I have available, I was speaking at a youth conference last year around technology. It's like, the good news is I have the pleasure of being in this space and understanding what's going on in the background of what they're actually trying to do. The bad news is I'm kind of like in that space where my clients are paying Meta money to get people more addicted to Facebook. That's a concept that I'm dealing with. But with time that I have available, I want to spend with the younger generation, telling them about the dangers of technology and more specifically social media and what it can do. Social Dilemma is a documentary that came out during COVID on Netflix, and it's still there, I think, if you want to check it out. But it goes into the like intricacies of how Facebook gets you addicted to their product.
Yeah, I have not watched that yet. I've heard about it.
And it's crazy. It's crazy.
How do you handle that dilemma internally? Because that is something when, even with me in the video world and like doing some social content, I'm like, our content should be as engaging as possible, which is kind of feeding into that mentality of like kind of making people addicted. Yeah. And same with your world as well. Like, how do you handle that on a moral level?
Something I'm still a work in progress on. Yeah. Honestly, I think we are at a point in our business where we get to work with brands that we believe in, that are doing good for society. and that they are a net good to the world. And we do not work with brands, and we have that choice. We do not work with brands that are actively trying to either hurt the world through things or just that are against things that we don't agree with. And so that has been helpful for me to kind of get past that point of the clients that we have are awesome, and they're not trying to hurt anybody. They're just trying to grow their businesses, which in turn help them have more employees, which is a net benefit for their families. And then it helps me grow my business, and then I can help my employees grow with their families. And so it's more the economics of it, which is really helpful. But yeah, it's a real thing that, let's just say that I spend a couple $1 million a month for clients on advertising. All of that money is going to research and development teams on, if you watch The Social Dilemma, they're watching whether you watch 2.1 seconds of a reel or 2.2 seconds of a reel, and that 0.1% different, or the 0.1 difference there, they're noticing that. And then you'll scroll again and it'll be 1.9 seconds. Okay, 2.3 seconds. Interesting. Let's hit them up again with another, top 10 video sports. And so that's how it understands what you're interested in and what you're not interested in. So then as an advertiser, I go in and I hit up those interests that it has put you into categories just based on milliseconds of what you watch. And so even from a political perspective, that's how you create this echo chamber on social media where you're like, I really only see things that I agree with. Like, if you think about it, you're just like, I don't really see a whole lot of stuff out there of the other side. And so that's how you create division. And that's why I think that our country is so divided right now, is just because you create these echo chambers for yourself, and it's all because of the algorithm. And that is true on TikTok, that is true on Instagram, that is true on Facebook, that's true on Google, YouTube. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy that you're like, I want to see this, and so it gives you more of that because it keeps you on the platform. Well, that's the only perspective that you see nowadays, unless you search for the other side. And that's a dangerous place. That's a dangerous place.
It's very true. Let's talk about Upstream. So you started it in 2022?
2020.
And so now it's 2025, right? Almost 2026. How have you seen growth within your team, within your business? How's that looked over the last 3 years?
3.5 years. Going on 4. Crazy. I very much anticipated being a solopreneur for the first 5 years. I did not want to have a team. Like I said, I really love advertising, and so I just wanted to do that for people. They call it the accidental business owner. That's me. It's just like, some people just cut lawns and then all of a sudden they have a lawn company. I just ran ads for people and now all of a sudden I'm an agency. But you kind of have to make that decision, and it's a really important decision early on to say, what do I want this to be? And if you don't have that vision in your head, it makes decision making really difficult. So I remember sitting down with my wife and it's like, hey, do we want to go the agency route? Because we got to a point where my capacity was full. So I had 2 options. I say no to more people and increase my prices. But I had this thing where I was just like, I don't want to be an unaffordable option for people. Like, I want to be, my heart is, I want to help the small business owner win with advertising. I just did the big brand thing. I want to come down to the small business owner and take those big brand strategies that I learned and implement them for a small business. Well, I can't do that if I'm $10,000 a month starting. Okay, so what are my other options then? Say no. Like, you only have so much capacity, so you can only help 10 people. Or start a team. And so, 6 months in, we just grew to the point where I decided to hire my first employee. She is the exact opposite of me in every way, and it is the best employee I've ever hired. Because she is just, I am 30,000 feet in the air, pie in the sky. She is operationally driven. Hey, Nate, great idea. How do we actually implement that? And let's do it. I'm an idea generator and a starter. She's a finisher. And so, great hire, great first hire. Her name is Savannah. She's awesome. She's still on the team. And so, 6 months after that, hired another person to kind of continue to fill out more of the capacity. And then you get to a point where you can't just hire ad people anymore. You actually have to start hiring shared resources like administrative, marketing, technology, make sure everything's connected together, designers. And so that was our first couple of years. And I think really going into the next couple of years, kind of what the major media platforms are saying is, hey, we're taking away all of your abilities to do things like targeting. Like one of the things that made me super valuable early on in business was I would layer targeting, right? So you want to go find a really rich individual in this zip code that has this income and loves the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can go do that, on Facebook. Can't do that anymore. They're stripping a lot of that away, mostly due to privacy regulations, but also due to they want more control.
Interesting.
So where am I valuable now?
Yeah.
Creative strategy. A lot of the things we've been talking about. Creative strategy, design, coming up with a really good ad by going upstream, thinking for a little bit, running a really good campaign. And so that's where we're super valuable. So I would say that the next few years for us is, instead of calling it an ad agency, it's more of a creative agency where we just have to be pumping out as much creative as humanly possible, just the way that the algorithm's changing. So we've done, and there's pros and cons to this, but like every year we've done triple digit growth, 150% growth or 120% growth. Very blessed. Not in my wildest dreams that I think that we would be doing that in our first 3 to 3.5 years. But I think we've just got a really good product. We said no at the very beginning of the conversation. We said no to a lot of other things that can distract agencies. I think you can be really good at a lot of things, or you can be great at one thing. It's really difficult to be great at a lot of things. And so we have just put our flag in the sand and said, we are going to be really great advertisers. And that means that we're not going to make money off of SEO, but if we're got a really great connection for you on SEO. We're not going to make money on website design and development, but we've got really great website design and developers that do great there. But if you need somebody to come up with an ad campaign that can make it look great and that can track it the whole way to sales revenue and actually prove ROI, we're your people. And so I think that it almost seemed like it was a negative to us at first that we didn't have all these other services. It's actually our greatest strength, because people know that when they come to us, they're not going to get Junior Sally over here. They're going to get an expert, multiple experts in advertising that spend 40 hours a week learning how to do great performance.
Specifically on that, which is really cool. And I think, and then you're able to partner with other like website developers or SEO experts, and they're not
video partners.
Video partners, and they're not necessarily thinking that you're going to go and take their client from them for this. And I think it's also very tempting as a business to want to offer all these different services, because you're like, oh, I want to be the one-stop shop for all of your marketing needs. But then that's where you get thinned out. Is where you get you're not an expert in all these levels, so then you're like kind of doing an okay job in all these different things, but you're really good at this. And so that's really cool to hear you were like, all right, we're just going to narrow down and really focus on this one thing and do this really well. How many team members do you have now?
7 going on 8.
Wow.
Soon to be probably 9.
That's awesome.
Months. Yeah.
I keep seeing you post job.
I actually don't post a ton on social media. So it seems, I was looking through my feed the other day and it's like the only thing I post is when I have a job, and that's not great. So I need to post some more pictures of my kids or something. I feel like we're growing like a weed, but that's not always a good thing. And so one of the things that we struggle the most with is maintaining our processes and systems in seasons of extreme growth. And so we had to do a reorg about 6 months ago to, hey, we are not serving 10 clients anymore. We are serving dozens and dozens and dozens of clients. And so what helped us get here is not going to be the structure that helps us get there to where we want to be. And so I am a very much growth-minded individual where that's kind of my North Star. But people on the team, Savannah included, my wife especially, is like, hey, if you keep doing triple digit every year, that sounds good, but in reality, there's something breaking somewhere. And so that's not always our goal moving into the future, to grow that fast.
To make sure you grow sustainably.
You have to grow sustainably. Otherwise, it all crumbles around you because you grew too fast and your processes just disappeared. Because you were just trying to keep up with everything. And it's just not if you want a business that's going to last 5, 10, 15 years in the future. Now, if you're just trying to grow something really quickly to sell it,
that's a different story.
Make up some AI process and try to implement it or whatever. But if you want a business that's going to last, like I'm about to be in my 30s, like I want a business that can take me because I'm young in my career. And so if that's the case, processes and systems are huge.
Yeah.
And it's my biggest weakness.
Yeah.
And so that's the hardest thing.
So that's where bringing in somebody that is more process and systems oriented is very beneficial.
Oh my gosh.
For a founder, for a leader, because a lot of entrepreneurs are more high level and not detail systems oriented.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where being able to bring in somebody that's very systems oriented.
Yeah, and figuring that out on your team too.
Yeah.
Taking personality assessments, like Working Genius is one of my favorites right now.
Yeah.
Disc profiles, we did that at Ramsey, Myers-Briggs. All those are really important. Working Genius is my favorite because it tells you, here's what brings me life,
Yeah.
and here's what drains me.
Yep.
What brings me life is sitting in a room and brainstorming and being idea guy and coming up with a bunch of pie in the sky stuff.
Yeah.
And what drains me is finishing projects.
Yep.
And that makes me sound like a horrible person, but
It's very common in this space as well. Like, we're starters. We like to start things.
we're started.
Yeah.
We literally have startup.
Yep.
And then it shocks me, but there are people out there.
I know.
There are people out there that love process. And I don't know how they wake up and go, I would love to just do a process today.
Yep.
But they're out there and
Yeah.
it is awesome.
Yeah.
And so I'll be sitting in a meeting and I'm like, yeah, but that means we have to like make a one pager on how we do that. And that sounds like death.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'll do
Are you
that.
kidding me? That sounds amazing.
And I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
you exist. And it's totally more.
Yeah.
And so one of my biggest learnings from the first couple of years is I need to start hiring not to mimic me, but I need to start hiring for my weaknesses.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a really good job of
Well, it sounds like your first hire was very much that way. which is
Accidentally.
huge.
Yeah, it's accidental, but she was just really good at paid media. She's like a really good advertiser.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, I was just like, you love everything that I hate.
Yeah.
And that was really good because it allowed us to truly be two separate. Like if you had another Nate on the team, you wouldn't accomplish that much.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of talk, not a lot of getting stuff done.
Oh, yeah.
But because of her, that really helped.
Well, then once you get to a certain size and you have divisions or whatever it is, then it's beneficial to have those people that are dreamers in certain teams and kind of leading that charge.
Yeah.
But as a startup, like you need, to bring.
So we're getting into the space now where I need creatives.
Yeah.
So I don't need me's. I don't need analytical people.
Yep.
I need people that can think big. And I was just telling you before we started that like we had one of our roofers go into a Ring video doorbell camera and do an ad and just talk into the Ring camera because it's engaging and people are like, what's going on? This is kind of an ad, but it's through a Ring quick. I need people that can sit around and think about that kind of stuff. Right. We have a slide company where we're doing Black Friday sale at the moment and we use Nana Banana to have Santa coming down the slide really quickly. Yeah. And he essentially says at the bottom of the slide, I don't like poor quality slides. I only like, insert client name, quality slides. Yeah. And it's like, I need people that can think to have Santa on slides sliding down into a living room and not just say, we sell slides. Like that's easy. Yep. I need people that probably aren't great finishers that are sitting and thinking, here's the creative strategy for this direction. Hey, client, can you go shoot this? Hey, video director, can you go get this cut? Yeah. And the only way you know that in the interview process, because I've had to fire people before, like it didn't go right. Yeah. You have to understand what their personality is and how they think. Yeah. It's very important.
Yeah. That's so good. What are some leadership tips with a fast-growing company? Like you've grown triple digits every year so far. Yeah. What are some things that really stand out to you in leadership in a small team, small growing team? Right. What's really helped you?
Oh, I love that question. Yeah. Well, we've done hybrid model and fully remote model. And I can definitely say that I love the hybrid model way more. I think it is the best model. No shade to people that do it differently. Yeah. I just think for us and for how we do things that there are two ways of thinking. It is like, I just need to go into a dark room and not talk to anybody and knock stuff out and get things done. And then, so we do 1 day a week in office. And so that is a time where we're coming together. We're brainstorming. Hey, here's this client. 6 of us are sitting together. We've got a whiteboard. We've got creative up on the TV. Let's come up with some Black Friday campaigns, right? So both of them are very important for our space. And so I think that the hybrid model is the best way to do it. Yeah. Fully remote gets really difficult because you lose that human interaction. And some people can figure that out. Like they can still, I have a client that has a fully remote team, very large company, and they kill it. Yeah. They just the level of intentionality that you have to still invest in culture. they have chosen to do that and they are awesome at it. But if you don't have a much 2-3x level of intentionality on culture, it gets really difficult to make it feel like everybody's on the same mission, trying to do the same thing. You kind of feel like you just walk upstairs into your bedroom, click your keyboard, and walk back downstairs. So the hybrid model is the best model, in my opinion. Different ways, I learned this at Ramsey, different ways of getting feedback from your employees is really important. So a lot of people say, so I do a weekly one-on-one with people that directly report to me. That is a great way to get feedback. Hey, one-on-one, face-to-face. For me, as my personality, great way to get feedback from me. Let's just talk about it. Some people, they will, I'm not shouting out anybody on my team right now, but they will do their full one-on-one with me. And then I actually have an automated, best thing I've done, automated weekly email on Friday morning that goes to them to ask them 3 questions. How was your week? And it's like emotional faces, like emojis. It's like sad, happy, medium. So it makes them quickly just rate their week. How productive were you? Scale of 1 to 10, and tell me why. What was your high and what was your low? Anything else I can do to help you in your role? So it's more than 3 questions. It's 5 questions. And the feedback I get from that report, I read every single one, every single person on the team, whether you report to me or not, is way more impactful than anything I usually get in a one-on-one. Or because one-on-ones typically just move into, okay, well, enough about me. Let's talk about this client. Or let's talk about this project we need to work on. Because I've got XYZ deadline or whatever. What was your weekly high? Okay. This client work that I was doing was really awesome. I really love actually working on copy. You never told me that? When were you ever going to tell me that? You love working on copy? I hate working on copy. Sweet. You're not a copy person. And also, what was your weekly low? Hey, when this thing happened, when this situation happened that I, quote unquote, would have never talked to you face to face about. When this thing happened, it kind of upset me, or it caused me anxiety, or I didn't really understand what you meant when you said this, or this client really made me upset. I don't know how to navigate that. And they might not be as willing to talk to you about that face to face because it's kind of vulnerable. I allow both outlets. The what I call the weekly report that everybody is forced to submit to me. Whether it was a normal week or a crazy week, like this week, crazy week, Black Friday week. You know, I don't know when this will go out, but Black Friday week, crazy week. So that report's going to go out. Or actually, I'll listen on Friday. So they'll submit it on Monday. I'm going to get a vibe. I'm sitting here doing it. I have no idea what's going on. But I'll get a good vibe for is there unrest in the office right now? Is everything calm, or is everybody a little anxious? Yeah, probably everybody's a little anxious. So I need to be a better communicator when I have my full team meetings. Hey guys, this too shall pass. We're on mission. We're on vision. We're rocking and rolling. We're optimistic. There will be a slower season. Like there's highs and there's lows, and so you navigate through that, but you need feedback. And if you don't have that feedback, you're flying back.
Absolutely, that's really good.
That's scary.
How do you send out that email?
Oh, okay.
Just practical.
This is fun. So it's a jot form, but the jot form is set up to be submitted, and then this is where it gets nerdy. Zapier integration. Directly to their email inbox.
Okay.
So it's either Zapier or Make, one of those two. It might be Make.
But it's a workflow. So you'll have the jot form and then connect that to the email, and every week it automatically sends out.
Essentially, a better way to explain it is it's an automated email sent out by Make. That has the jot form link in it.
Okay.
And it just sends them every Friday morning at 9 a.m. And then they have to the end of the day to submit it.
Right.
So, and it's free. Right. So there are weekly report tools that are out there. Ramsey had one. That can be very expensive. This is a very free way. And I figured out a way for another company that they don't have work email addresses because their team isn't like warehouse style. So they don't have work emails. Great. Integrate Twilio, get a phone number. Everybody gets a text to their phone number on Friday morning. Tell me about your week.
That's cool.
What was your high? What was your low? Scale of 1 to 10. Because then when we go into your next one-on-one, I'll be like, hey, you put this on your weekly report. Can we talk about this? And then they're super open to talk about it. But they're not going to be the first one to bring it up in those situations.
So, I like that a lot. That's cool.
It's it was really impactful.
How do you instill your mission into your team in a practical level, like in what you're doing at Upstream, and what are some practical ways that you help your team come on board with your vision?
It's good. The biggest one is we have a weekly team meeting where we just share client wins. And I think that that's the biggest thing. We did that at Ramsey too. But hey, you're not just, and sometimes like I'm on the call with the client, but the designer isn't.
Yeah.
Or the person actually clicking the buttons on Facebook to launch the campaign is not on the call, because that would be a lot of payroll on a phone call. And so I'm hearing all these, I'm jazzed up every day because I'm on these calls and they're like, oh, we're doubling in business, or, oh, because of that ad, we made XYZ revenue, or we didn't have to lay off the team or lower hours because of the marketing. Well, I hear all that. So it's stories. It's a lot of stories where sometimes people are just designing something, but they never know what that design is going to go do.
Yep.
They're just like, I designed it, I moved it across the board, there it is, go do something with it.
Yeah.
But they don't actually hear the story of like, somebody in Lancaster County saw that roofing ad, clicked on it, filled out the form, and has a brand new roof now because they had a roofing emergency. Their house was leaking, and now they are now using, and we don't even need to get that end client testimonial. Sometimes we do, which is fantastic. But if we don't, it's like, you're changing lives.
Right.
Not only to the clients, like you're making marketing directors look awesome.
Yeah.
Not only that, you're helping these businesses grow and you're helping clients be served. And so just telling stories on a weekly basis of like, hey, those of you that are on calls, half the team isn't.
Yeah.
What is going well? We have a local college that we do work for. Record enrollment 3 years in a row in an industry where higher ed is not like on the up and up at the moment. There's a lot of like, most colleges are going down or staying flat, and they've had 3 years in a row of record enrollment. And so I get a phone call from the marketing director. Hey, we just did this. They just had the largest open house that they've ever had.
That's awesome.
Straight to the team.
Yeah.
Largest open house. Y'all are killing it.
That's cool.
We need to get, especially in weeks like this where things are crazy.
Yeah.
So it's just stories and repeating yourself over and over and over again about the wins that you have. Otherwise, frankly, you're a marketing agency that makes a bunch of creative.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, how are you actually changing people's lives or helping businesses win?
That's really good. I remember when I was at Keystone, we would do that. We would do every morning with the entire team, everybody would meet before the crews go out in the field. Yeah. And I remember we would start to gather reviews that are sent in or emails that are sent in, and we'd start reading those to the team. And that made a lot of kind of excitement for what they're doing and kind of give them a even more additional purpose to what they're doing, because they're hearing directly from the client and hearing that they're impacted, which is really cool.
Because the homeowner is not shaking hands with every single person on the team. Some of those team members are never even going to the house.
Yeah.
And so for them to get more involved, it's easy for me, again, to be jazzed up because I naturally hear it through the conversations, or I'm the one getting the phone call.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out ways throughout my day and a busy day to get it back to the team members that aren't a part of it is...
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's really cool. Where can people find you? How can people work with you if they're looking for an ad agency?
Yeah. You can find us on our website, upstreamdigitalmarketing.co. I tried to get upstreamdigitalmarketing.com. It's $18,000. So we got the .co. But yeah, upstreamdigitalmarketing.co. Yeah. My name's Nate Amspacher, so you can find me on social media. I just post about job postings, apparently. And my kid going into Culver's to get,
there you go.
To get stuff. So yeah.
The most important parts.
Yeah. And so that's the main place to find us.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
That's great.
And
thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of the 513 podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to follow us and subscribe, and send this to a friend that might enjoy it.